The courtroom is silent. Families sit shoulder to shoulder, clutching photos of their children. Reporters whisper, cameras click, and all eyes turn to a single man, Bryan Kohberger. For over 2 years, this trial has been delayed. Motions filed, gag orders issued, rumors spread like wildfire, and all the while, for families waiting for justice. Today, in 2025, the trial of Bryan Kohberger finally begins. And what unfolds inside this courtroom could change everything we thought we knew about the Idaho murders. Asterisk, to understand how we got here, we need to revisit the long, winding road that led us to this moment. It all began on November 13th, 2022, when 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were brutally murdered in their off-campus home. The crime shocked the nation. Within weeks, Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student, was arrested in Pennsylvania. Prosecutors claimed DNA evidence tied him to the scene, specifically a knife she'd left beside one of the victims. But from the moment of his arrest, this case was different. His defense filed motions challenging every piece of evidence. The court issued gag orders, silencing attorneys, police, and families from speaking publicly. Then came the question of the death penalty. Prosecutors announced they would pursue it, raising the stakes to the highest level. And yet, delays followed. Motions to move the trial, motions to suppress evidence, debates over cell tower data and digital footprints. For 2 years, the families of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan waited. Until now, when the trial began, the prosecution wasted no time. They laid out a narrative of a man who meticulously planned every move, Bryan Kohberger. Their star evidence, DNA, that knife sheath found on Madison's bed, carried a single male DNA profile. The FBI's genealogical analysis pointed directly to Kohberger. They presented cell phone data, records showing Kohberger's phone pinging near the victim's house at least 12 times before the murders. Prosecutors argued this was stalking behavior, proof of surveillance. Then came the surveillance footage, a white Hyundai Elantra driving near the house at the exact time of the killings. The prosecution showed the jury the footage frame by frame, narrating the vehicle's path. But perhaps most chilling was a testimony of the surviving roommate. She described hearing crying footsteps and a deep male voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Then silence. Piece by piece, the prosecution painted a picture of obsession, opportunity, and violence. To them, the case was clear. Bryan Kohberger was a killer. But the defense team wasn't about to let the prosecution's story go unchallenged. They argued that the DNA evidence wasn't as ironclad as it seemed. The knife sheath, they said, could have been contaminated. After all, dozens of investigators had handled it, and there was no other DNA of Kohberger found inside the house. No fingerprints, no hair, no blood. On the phone records, the defense claimed the cell tower data was unreliable. A ping doesn't prove he was at the exact location. Cell signals bounce, they said, and can cover miles of territory. As for the Hyundai Elantra, the defense highlighted that thousands of similar white Elantras were registered in the region. It was circumstantial, not definitive. And when it came to the surviving roommate's testimony, the defense pointed to inconsistencies. Fear, trauma, and the darkness of the night could have clouded her memory. Could she have misheard? Could she have misidentified? Finally, the defense tried to shift the focus. They suggested investigators had rushed to judgment, that in their desperation to solve a national tragedy, they locked in on Kohberger and ignored other possible suspects. Their message to the jury was simple: doubt everything. Because if there was reasonable doubt, even the smallest crack, it meant Bryan Kohberger could not be found guilty. As the trial moved into its later weeks, the emotional toll of this case became undeniable. One by one, the families of the victims took the stand. They shared stories of birthdays never celebrated, dreams cut short, and lives forever changed. Photos of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan were displayed for the jury. Smiles frozen in time, vacations, graduations, ordinary days now transformed into memories. Kaylee's mother spoke of her daughter's laughter echoing through the house. Madison's father described the silence he now lived with. Xana's family shared the strength it took just to wake up each morning. And Ethan's siblings, a tight-knit triplet bond, spoke of the emptiness left behind. For many in the courtroom, it was unbearable. Jurors wiped away tears. Even seasoned reporters lowered their eyes. The reality of the crime, beyond DNA and phone records, was right there in front of them. For young lives stolen in a single night, these testimonies weren't evidence in the traditional sense. They weren't about proving guilt or innocence, but they gave weight to the stakes of this trial, reminding everyone that behind every motion, every piece of forensic evidence, there were human lives and families waiting for justice. Finally, after weeks of testimony, the trial reached its climax, the closing arguments. The prosecution stood firm. They argued that the evidence, DNA, digital data, surveillance, and testimony, formed a chain that pointed directly to Kohberger. They told the jury this wasn't a random act. It was planned, deliberate, and devastating. These families deserved justice. The defense countered with equal force. They told the jury that the state had built its case on assumptions, on circumstantial threads woven together to look stronger than they really were. They reminded the jury, doubt is enough. If there's any doubt, you must vote not guilty. And then the trial shifted to the jury. 12 men and women tasked with one of the most difficult decisions imaginable. The courtroom waited in silence. Families held hands. Reporters sent quick dispatches. And Kohberger, expressionless, sat at the defense table, staring straight ahead. Hours felt like days. Days felt like weeks. The world held its breath as the jury deliberated. The story of Bryan Kohberger's trial is far from over. As we sit here in 2025, the nation waits for a verdict. Will the jury find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? Or will they decide the state's evidence was not enough? And if convicted, will he face the death penalty? But even beyond Kohberger, questions linger. How did this happen in a college town known for safety? What red flags were missed? And could there still be more to the story than we know? For the families of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan, the trial is just one chapter. Justice, closure, healing. None of it comes quickly, and none of it comes easily. But one thing is certain. The memory of the Idaho will never be forgotten. This is the Idaho Murders Part 2, The Trial. Thank you for watching this documentary. If you want to follow the verdict and every development in this case, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We cover the stories that matter, the ones that stay with you long after the headlines fade. Hit the like button to help more people see this story. And share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Bryan Kohberger is guilty, or is there still doubt in this case? Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.